performing fine in the school. It's just there's a general lack of passion for what we're talking about. But coming back here to China, there was a report from Guangdong Daily, which was a survey that was conducted in 2017, and it showed that over 30% of incoming freshmen at Peking University disliked studying and felt it was meaningless. For our listeners who are not familiar with Chinese universities, Peking University is known to be one of the best, right? So those are the numbers that came from that school during that time. And that's kind of in contrast to the growing abundance of external life. That inner sense of value has become, in the classroom at that time, according to those statistics for that group, a little bit more vague than perhaps expected.
And that all comes from what Professor Xu Kai-wen of Peking University conducted survey and research and published his findings in 2016 revolving the concept of the hollow heart disorder, which is a psychological concept. He defines it as a mental disorder resulting from a deficiency in personal values, leading to a profound sense of life's meaninglessness, confusion about one's purpose, and pervasive feelings of emptiness and loneliness. And this is notably prevalent among high-achieving students, such as students at Peking University, who, despite academic success, struggle with existential questions and a sense of disconnection from their own lives. And I still remember we discussed this topic back then and how a huge society-wide discussion generated from that research finding. And it got people questioning, like, what are young people or these students thinking? Even for those high achievers who have gotten to the best schools in China and they feel they're walking zombies with no purpose in life, and they really struggle once they get there to college, and which is kind of the holy grail for a lot of young Chinese kids when we think about what's important in life at that stage of life.
But on the other hand, I was thinking from the perspective of these students. Okay, they're saying, wow, I've got a good enough grade, right? I attend to school on time. I do everything that a good student should do. And now you're asking me to have, real passion to school. What else do you want me to do?
Right.
Why is this such a big deal that I need to act like I really love going to school or something like that?
Yeah, so why is it a big deal then?
Well, the data suggests that it's more widespread than we may realize, because I think it's just kind of like you said, maybe there's a culture difference between China and the West. It's just kind of an expected thing that teenagers will have at least a little bit of that attitude in the West. But like I said, the research suggests that it could be a bigger deal. Jenny Anderson, and Rebecca Winthrop wrote a book on the topic, and they conducted a survey with Brookings Institution and then Transcend, which is an educational nonprofit. They surveyed 65,000 students. This is not a small survey. 65,000 students and nearly 2,000 parents about school in general. So let's start with the third graders. Remember what I said about how I felt about school in the third grade? I loved it. I couldn't wait to go to school every day. 74% of third graders said that they loved school. Now let's jump ahead to the 10th grade. By the 10th grade, the students that they surveyed, only 26% said that they loved school. So there's a difference, right? From the 3rd to the 10th grade, 74% to 26%, quite the decrease. Here's another big difference. 65% of parents of 10th graders say that their kids love school, but only 26% of 10th graders said that they love school. So there's a disconnect there, right, between what the parents are feeling about their children and their attitudes towards school and what the kids are actually feeling themselves. Again, to me, that's not really that surprising, because at least Western parents with their high school kids, they might not know everything that's going on with their feelings and with their emotions, right? And what the kids report back to the parents my story, I think, is representative of a lot of different types of students. I was really, really good. My grades were near the top of the class in things like English literature or things related to art or something like that, or creativity. When it came to science and math, I didn't have any interest at all. I remember this day, I was in physics class in the 11th grade, and my teacher was so frustrated with me that I didn't care about physics at all. It didn't speak to me. And one day the teacher said, Steve, don't you care why a wheel, when it's moving at a certain speed and it tips to the right or the left, why it doesn't fall over? Aren't you curious to know the reason why? And I said, no, it just doesn't fall over, and that's enough for me. I'll stop my knowledge of the wheel right there, but I just wasn't into it.
Yeah.
So you can do well in some places and just not care about others.
I think in the Chinese context, if you have students, they're completely honest with you, they're probably not interested, but they have to be interested to get the grades. And that's what we all push ourselves to do. And we're not supposed to think about romance when you're in high school.
Right.
Kids and parents, the teachers and parents would be waving red flags, and they'd be, they wouldn't like that very much for sure. When I look at maybe some of the deeper causes of teen apathy in China, I can think of two things. Number one is the intense academic pressure and rote learning. Our education system emphasizes high-stakes examination and memorization, which can lead to burnout and a sense of purposelessness among students if you're in that system for more than 10 plus years, despite academic success. And also, parental expectations and the lack of autonomy before you turn 18 is so prevalent here. Chinese adolescents often face significant parental pressure to succeed academically, often at the expense of personal